Okay, here we go with homework 9 hints. The first question, sketch the function negative sine x. Now I've drawn for you here sine x. The negative sign in front just means turn it upside down. So that graph is going to go upside down. And then the minus 30 means move it along 30. So your answer for this question should look something like that. Okay, you have to identify all these points. For the second one, 3 cos theta minus pi upon 2 between 0 and 2 pi, so it's got to be in radians this time. Okay, so you need to use your table to get the values. It's a cos graph. It goes up to 3 and down to minus 3, and the minus pi upon 2 means it's been moved to the right pi upon 2 radians, or if you'd rather work in degrees, move 90 degrees to the right. So take that green curve and move all the points 90 degrees to the right. Remember, put your answer in radians. Question 2, find f of g of x. So the g is going into the f formula, or the 3 upon x is going in there. Once you get to your answer, don't try and tidy it up, just leave it as what you get once you've put that 3 over x inside there. Now the second part of the questions asks you to work out p of q of x. Now this is a lot harder. This time we're putting the q into the p formula. So that 3 over 3 minus x is going to go into the answer you got from part A. Now this is going to give you a fraction upon a fraction. So if you take the second fraction and turn it upside down and make it into a times, you should find lots of things cancel each other out. Question 3, a circle and straight line question. So find the equation of AB, the perpendicular bisector of the line joining P and Q. So perpendicular bisector, that means we go through the procedure of finding the midpoint. We find the gradient of PQ, then we find the perpendicular gradient, and we use this point and this gradient in y minus b equals mx minus a. And that should give you the gradient of the line PQ. Sorry, it's not. That gives you the gradient of the line AB, this line here. Part B asks you to find the equation of the circle. So for a circle you need two things. You need to know its centre and you need to know its radius. Now the centre of the circle, that should be fairly easy to get. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because we know from what the question says that C is parallel to the y-axis. And because Q has the point 19, then the centre must also have x coordinate 1. And if the x coordinate is 1, plugging it back into the equation that you just found, that's going to give you the y coordinate. So substituting x equals 1 back in gives you the y coordinate. Now how do you find the radius? Well, again, because you know this line here is parallel to the y-axis, and we've worked out that C is 1 something, then the radius is just going to be the distance between that something up to 9. So that's going to tell you what the radius is. Once you've got both of those, you can then plug them into your formula x minus a squared y minus b squared equals r squared. Now part C, the important words there are write down. So in other words, you should not be doing a lot of work for part C. Write down the equation of the tangent at Q. Well, we know this line we've just been talking about here is vertical, so therefore we know that the tangent is going to be a horizontal line. And we know that every single horizontal line has the equation y equals something. And what's the something? It's whatever the y number goes through. So there's a wee clue. How are you going to work out the coordinates of t? Well, t is this point along here where these two lines intersect. Also, it's the same place as where AB intersects. Because we know what the equation of AB is, we did that earlier, and we know that the y coordinate is 9, because we just got that from up above, plugging 9 back into this formula now is going to give you the x coordinate, and that's going to tell you what t is. You might need to watch this bit again. Question 4, sketching the graphs. Negative f of x is upside down. Plus 5 means up 5. So draw the graph upside down and then move it up 5. The second one, f of negative x, that means flip in the y-axis, or left and right. And then the 2 in the front, that means double the y coordinates. So flip it in the y-axis, left and right, and then double the y coordinates. Lastly, question 5, the secret agent. Right, this question is probably easiest done by saying, let's work out how much of that serum is in his body after 1 hour. So he gets injected with 25 milligrams at the very start. So how much is going to be there after 1 hour, how much after 2 hours, how much after 3 hours, and how much after 4 hours. And that's going to give you the answer to part A. For part B, we've got to try and work out when it's continuously above 20. So we go back to what we did for part A, and we work out how much is in after 5 hours. Now remember, there's been an extra 25 milligrams been added. So work out how much is there after 5, after 6, after 7, after 8, then there's another 25 gets added, and then after 9, after 10, and so on. So if you work out each individual little step, and you'll find that one of these answers will take you above 20, and it won't ever fall back below 20. And whenever that happens, that's your answer to the question. For part C, that's just setting up the recurrence relation. That should be okay. Basically, hopefully from what you've been doing, you'll know where the 0.522 comes from. And then part D, that's all to do with the limit of the recurrence relation. Okay, remember when you come to give your final answer, is there any maximum length of time in which you continue to administer the serum and keep him alive? You need to give a little explanation. Okay, so smaller than last week's, but there's still some tricky questions in there.